also doesn't help.
Is the person.
Welcome, everybody. Nice to have you here. Thanks for coming along. This was so special that Fazla is going to share her journey with us tonight. Okay, I'm gonna start and introduce Fazla while those last people are coming on board. We have got Faye here as tech support. So if anybody has any issues, get hold of Faye. Faye can put her phone number in the chat if anybody needs any assistance. I've also experienced some internet issues prior to this meeting starting. So Faye is at the ready to take over if I disappear. So she's there just in case something goes AWOL. And if you don't know me, my name is Lisa Coffins and I'm the current Program Quality Director. I am based in the lovely Timaru and am a member of the Alpine Toastmasters Club and also Cyber 5, which is an online club that meets on a Saturday afternoon. And I'm super excited that everybody is here to hear from Fazla about her amazing journey. And so Fazla has been a Toastmasters member for 3.5 years. And isn't that amazing how much she's already achieved in 3.5 years? It's a credit to her and her mentors that she has behind her. She's a member of Hutt Valley Toastmasters up in the Wellington area. And she was telling me earlier that she loves her club because they are so energetic and very supportive of each other, inside and outside Toastmasters. So they've got that real community spirit, which is so special. And what's special about Fazla is she was the first woman from our district to represent at the semi-finals over in America, which is amazing. So that's such an exciting thing for all of us. And I know many of us were so excited to see that she was going to be going that far. And tonight she's going to be sharing with us her journey to the World Championship stage. And as I said earlier, if you have any questions at the end, Fazla is going to be ready at the waiting to answer those questions for you. And it's really a privilege to welcome up Fazla. So welcome up, Fazla. The stage is yours.
Thanks, Lisa, for that lovely introduction. So, hello, everyone. So, I'm Fazla, and it's so good to be here. Thanks for joining me, especially on a Friday evening. So, thanks a lot. Before I start, I do have a question. So, it's a Zoom meeting, so make sure you raise your hand virtually. So, the question is, how many of you here still get butterflies when you get on that stage?
We all do.
Of course, we all do. So the slide I'm going to share next is very true then. So here we go. Okay, hope you all can see that. Cool.
Jet lag, breathless, and still speaking.
Yes. Okay, I'm just trying to get yeah. Okay, so you know what? Public speaking is the #1 fear in the world. Death? Well, that's #2. Which means most people would rather be in the coffin than giving the eulogy. Unless you are me, a respiratory physiologist, standing there thinking, is the guy in the coffin even breathing? Hello, everyone. So I help people breathe for a living. So when it came to public speaking, I thought easy because it's just air passing through our vocal cords, right?
What?
Then I found myself at the World Championship of Public Speaking. And guess what? I completely forgot how to breathe. Suddenly, breathing was not easy after all. Let me take you back to where it all started. I joined Toastmasters like many of you with a goal in mind to get better in public speaking and gain a little confidence. I didn't expect that this little journey would take me speaking in the United States. So you know how it goes. So as usual, we start in the club, then the area, then the division, district. Before I knew it, I was at the quarterfinals. Thankfully, I won that too. Then I was on my way to the semifinals in Philadelphia. As they call it, as one of the top 28 speakers in the world. Now, let me tell you, the two people who beat me in the semifinals round went on to be crowned as the number one and number two in the entire world. I was not just close, I was right there with them, breathing the same air as the best of the best. To be honest, that was a lot of air. I was gasping for it. Okay, so this part in my story is a bit different to a typical story about journey to success because there's a plot twist. So I was on my way to the semifinals in the States. I was at the airport with my husband, bags packed, ready to go. Then I hear NZ 27 to Houston has been cancelled. Yep, you heard it right. My flight just got cancelled. That felt like the moment where everything is starting to fall apart. I almost cried. But what I did is I just took a deep breath. I was not ready to let go of my dream. My husband knew it, so he started making some phone calls, and a day later, we found our way into the States. I arrived late, jet lagged, a little overwhelmed, but I showed up. And sometimes that's all it takes, just showing up. Because life will try to cancel your plans, but it can't cancel your drive. So I got to the semifinals. I was in Philadelphia, but then the real challenge began. I have a question. What would you say when you are on a stage that is bigger than any stage you have been on? I was there thinking, okay, I got this. Just breathe. Don't mess this up. I don't know whether you felt this. When you are feeling the pressure, you forget the basics. I was not thinking about the fancy words or big ideas. I was thinking, just breathe. And that's when the magic happened. Instead of trying to be perfect, I decided to be real because I was not there to impress anyone. I was there to connect with people, to show them who I really was, the nerves and all. And that's what truly made the difference. Because the moment you stop trying to be perfect, you connect with people in a way that you never expected. So, how can we make that connection with people? That needs some homework. So, when we are practicing our speech, don't practice to be perfect. Practice presence. Because when you are practicing, what I always had in my mind is I didn't want to sound like a robot just delivering the memorized line. I wanted it to make sense every single time I delivered it. So when you are rehearsing, make sure you do it again and again and again. But you rehearse until it feels natural, not mechanical. Because the goal here is not perfection, it's the connection. And remember, it's not about the best words, the most dramatic story, or the perfect delivery. It's about being real and making that connection. I do have another thing to share, which I learned throughout my journey. And that's something that completely changed how I speak or how I write a speech. Because when you write a speech or when you are developing that idea, it doesn't need to be big. It doesn't need to be fancy. Talk about something you genuinely care. Because for me, it was breathing. I do that for a living, and we all do that without even thinking about it. So when I was thinking about that idea, what I wanted to do is I wanted to deliver it in a way, not just the science, but the meaning of it. And I saw people leaning in. So when you are thinking about a speech, think about something you are passionate about. You really want to share it with the world. Because when you are passionate about something, the passion, it doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be true. And it can make that connection with the audience. So, this part in my story is what I really want you to hear. This is something I didn't do this by myself. I had my family, friends, mentors, fellow Toastmasters who had my back every steps of the way. The area Toastmasters here in New Zealand, along with the wider District 72 Toastmasters, they gave me the valuable time, feedback, brutal but loving critique. That's something I always needed. To my husband, the poor man, who has heard my speech more than I have. I try my best not to practice it in front of him, but in the kitchen, in the car, during dinner, possibly in his dreams. He has heard that enough. But he still smiled when I delivered it on the stage. To my family back in Sri Lanka, sending me their love and encouragement. There were some Toastmasters who even came to my home through phone calls, making sure that I'm doing it correctly. And the lovely trio who came to Philadelphia and who supported me on my big day. There's another person we all have in our clubs who got a stopwatch and thinking that they are running a NASA mission. Yeah, I had those people. They made sure I'm within the time. Their support was incredible. They gave me feedback, which I always needed. And here's the takeaway: you don't have to do it alone. Ask for help. I have been helped, and now it's my turn to pass it forward. So, did I win? I don't need to. I stood on that stage alongside people who went on to be crowned as the world champions. And what I have learned is the real winner is not the one who's with the loudest voice or the perfect delivery. The real winner is the one who is willing to be seen, not the one who is trying to hide behind a perfect persona, not the one who's trying to be flawless, but the one who's ready to show up as their true, authentic self. That's how I made it to the World Championship. Not with the perfect speech or with the perfect delivery, but the willingness to be real, to show up as I am, and to breathe through fear. So if you are waiting for your perfect moment, for your perfect story, or the perfect version of yourself before you get on that stage, don't wait, because I have a challenge for you. Take on that stage, whatever that stage look like for you. Just show up and breathe. Breathe in courage and breathe out fear. Because when you show up as your true, authentic self, that's where the magic is. That's where you make the connection. So, everyone here who helped me to make my dream come true, I deliver a sincere thank you to all of you. And thanks for coming in on a Friday night to listen to my journey. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Fazla. You are such a humble person, and I love that one of your takeaways is to be real, be yourself, and that's such an amazing takeaway to give back to us. And now, of course, Fazla has asked if anybody has any questions. Now's your chance to ask our semi-finalist any of those burning questions you might have. Louise Landis has got her hand up. Louise, what's your question?
Good. Hi, team. Thanks, Fazla. That was great to listen to your little motivational pep talk there, and I was lucky to see you at conference too. So great to have watched your journey across. I'm curious to know, just having seen friends or fellow club members go quite far in competitions, how do you decide what feedback to take on and what to leave? Because it's always subjective. And I've seen what I think speeches go from really good to really awful, but that's just my perspective. So how did you pick and choose your feedback to take on?
Kia ora, Lois. Nice to meet you, and thanks for being here today. A great question, of course, because getting feedback, how it is very important when you are structuring your speech, delivering it, and practicing it. And the only thing I think we need to remember is we are the master of our speeches, and the idea is yours, and you works well for you. It can be your delivery style, body language, tone, like even the humor. There might be certain humor which you like. So when you are presenting it in a club, always be open for all the feedback, because when you do it like several times, there's some feedback which you never thought about, and that might really work for you, and some they don't work at all. So how you can identify which works for you and which one doesn't is take all that feedback, come back home, sit and try to put that in place and see how you go with that. Because for me, when they asked me to change the way of my tone or how I speak, it never works. Because if I do that, I'm going away from my real authentic self. And I can't do very well with that. So I leave those feedback. And I just take on how I can incorporate vocal variety in there with the tone of the speech I have for myself. So you are the master, you have all the right to decide which works well for you and which doesn't. And that's something we all have to do by ourselves. So the key thing is the more you do at different clubs, the more feedback you get, you can definitely work out which works well for you and which doesn't. Hope that helps, Lois.
Thank you so much, Fazla. Does that help, Louise? All good?
Yeah, sorry, I see I was on mute. I was just saying, yeah, very pragmatic, and it really works for me that, to try it and see, take it or leave it, but try it. Yeah, nice.
Thanks, Lois.
Yeah, very good advice. And now we've got Wayne Buck, who has got a question for you.
Kia ora, Fazla. I saw you at Division, and as soon as I saw you there, I fell in love with your speaking style. And
Thank you.
I said to you at the time, I said, you're going to go far. And
Thanks,
you did. So my question for you is from the inside, which is, at what stage, because there are quite a few steps to get to the World Finals, could you describe to us your self-belief element of yourself? Like, how did you believe I can do this, or how did that develop or change throughout your journey?
Another wonderful question, Wayne. Thanks for that.
Mm.
So, self-belief, I think when you start at your club level, you don't really think far ahead that you will go to the World Championship of Public Speaking. What I always had in my mind is, because when I previously participated in the humorous contest last year, what I saw in my journey is I had like a very raw speech when I presented it at the club. And as I moved through area, division, and district, what I did incorporate in my speeches, like the feedback I got from my club, I used it in the area. And I tried to tweak it as I moved through. So the key idea I had in my mind is to improve my speech in each level. And when I reach the end stage, I will end up with I don't know, a fabulous speech which I can deliver anywhere whenever they ask me to do a speech about something. So the key goal is to improve yourself. So to get better in what you do. So if we have that in our mind, it doesn't matter how far we are aiming to go. It happens automatically. The goal is to improve yourself, to believe in yourself that, okay, I want a good speech at the end of this because I have put lots of work into it. So I'm going to try and make it better as I move through each level. So if you have that in your head, I think we all can aim for that world championship. It just happens automatically. So the key thing is try to improve yourself and try to deliver it and make it better every time. That definitely helps with being like believing in yourself and delivering it perfectly every time, Wayne. So that's something I did throughout.
Ka pai, thank you.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you, Wayne, for your question and your lovely answer, Fazla, as well. It's so important, all that feedback. So you never know, even as somebody watching on, how you can contribute to the success of our speakers. Next up, I see we've got Fernando. Nice to see you, Fernando. And you have a question for Fazla.
Hello. So first of all, congratulations, Fazla, for your achievement. I think it's absolutely impressive. Sorry, I was a little bit late. I joined the meeting a little bit late, so maybe this question, you've already addressed this question, but I would like to know one thing. I'm very pragmatic, Luis, that said before, very practical. In general, I have like a engineering approach. And I was thinking about if at some time or at some point you've always had in your mind the way that judges pretty much give a score to your speech, because what I found is sometimes you have to adjust yourself. You can't actually be yourself when you give a speech, because you know that by doing so, you're not going to get the score that you probably, I'm not going to say deserve, but you expect. I don't know if you talked about this at the start of your, but I would like to hear from you in firsthand if you're actually very aware of the score system and you work based on that. Of course, make some adjustments based on your feedback as well. But that's my question: if you actually has in your mind always how judges are gonna score you. Thank you.
Thanks for that question. Yes, so I think when we enter each contest, a good thing is to look into the judges' criteria so we know what we are getting judged on. But the key thing is, again, you have to be passionate about what you are talking, because in my case, when I was thinking about a speech, I instantly thought, okay, I'm going to speak about breathing. But if I'm to speak about breathing, I can talk for hours about breathing, but it can be very scientific and boring, which I didn't want to happen. So when I was going through the judging criteria, what it says is content. I think 50% comes for content and 30% delivery, and I think 20% appropriateness. So I think the 50% is the content. So when you are refining your speech, make sure you have a clear message in there. So mine was throughout, it was about breathing. So effective breathing was the only thing I wanted to give it to the audience. That was something I wanted everyone to go home after each contest. So yeah, of course, when you are structuring your speech, you have to kind of like get in line with the judges' criteria, because you are getting judged based on that. But you can still be your true self, because I spoke about something I'm really passionate about and I delivered it in a way that works for me. Because I love humor and I try and put humor in everywhere I can. But there's very less marks for humor in the judges' criteria. But if you make that connection and if it's appropriate for the audience and the way you deliver it, you can score the other 50%. So I think it's a good idea to keep the judges' criteria on one side and think about what you are going to speak about. And you know yourself better than me. So think about what you can do to score in those areas, and that will help you to kind of have a good speech, still being yourself, but ticking off those points in the judges' criteria too. I hope I answered your question.
Oh yeah, pretty much. I mean, good answer, makes sense, and definitely the answer is you take into account pretty much the way that judges score you, because I think it's crucial. Right.
Yeah.
Well done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Fernando. I'm just going to read out a question first, Kath, that we've got in the chat from Ginny, who has said, "Hi, Fazla. Tell us more about how does it feel to be the first woman from New Zealand to reach the semi-finals, and how was that winning moment when I imagine when you first found out that what's going on?"
Oh yeah, it's been so amazing, and I'm so humble and honored to be the first woman to represent New Zealand in the world stage, because I did have, like, when I was getting that message, I think I said this to some other members. That morning, I was already doing like a presentation for my work, and my phone started like buzzing, like crazy, and I really thought something bad happened, and like living far away from my parents, that really scared me until I really looked into my phone. So that moment I'll never forget in my life, just saying, oh, quarterfinals, like, dear Toastmaster Dulificar, congratulations, you have won the Toastmasters quarterfinal. But before I read that line, I was in utter fear of thinking something bad happened. So yeah, that's a very, I don't know, very emotional roller coaster moment for me, like from fear to something very happy. So getting to know that news was like something I will never forget in my life. And as a year, it's been, I'm so humbled and honored to New Zealand. The support I got from the members and fellow Toastmasters in New Zealand was incredible. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Fazla. It would have been such a truly special moment just getting that email. Kath, you did have your hand up. Did you want to ask your question?
Yes, I did. Thank you. Kia ora, Fazla. When you were talking to us earlier, you talked about practicing your speech to sort of to move through the robotic stage to, and I forget what you said at the end there, but I was quite intrigued because I can imagine the number of times I heard you practicing it, how you got through the robotic phase. So could you talk a little bit about that? Because I think there's something really key that we can all take on with that. Thanks.
Sure, Kath. Yeah, definitely. I think that's something we always struggle when we are practicing our speeches, because I think the key message out there is the more you practice, it's better. But something we all need to keep in mind is when we are practicing, it's very common for it to sound mechanical rather than like alive and natural. So one thing I did is the more whenever I practiced it, I made sure each word in my head or like each sentence I'm going to say, I really mean it so that I can make the connection. Because when we are memorizing or when we are reading a book, it's very like flat. You just read it. Like when we are practicing a speech, and the moment it's anchor, it sounds very flat, not alive anymore. Really sad, because when you are talking and when you're thinking about something else, you have hate and speech and grief. So the key thing I did to overcome that is when I practiced, when I delivered it, I made sure every line is mentioned in a way that is meant, so people can connect and they are following with me together. So it's important to practice it over and over, but when we practice, make sure we are making we are saying, because that's the key thing is. And yep, you don't need to sound perfect. The key thing is like the presence. Make sure when you are delivering it, do it at that moment, maybe you make that connection. So I think it was very well to kind of get over being robotic and being alive in time. Hope that helps, Kat.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I really heard about being present and being kind of true to the ideas that you put in your speech and holding on to that. So thank you, Fazla. I found that helpful.
Oh, my pleasure.
It was a very helpful answer. I've got a question for you while everyone else is thinking of their questions. How did you deal with the nerves, Fazla? The nerves before
You
getting
know the
to that
answer,
final?
Lisa. You know the answer. You just breathe. Yeah, it's always, I think, what I try to do is, yeah, just breathe, because the more oxygen you try to give it to your brain, it calms down. So, like people who saw me behind the stage would agree with me. I was just trying to take big breaths in and out to kind of like calm myself, and just made sure, okay, I'm not there to impress anyone. I don't want to be perfect. I just want to connect with people so that they can give that message and go home with that message. So the key thing is whenever you are in stress in life, there is 3 different techniques which I mentioned in my speech. And I do see like in the chat box, people asking about the video. Yep, they are uploading the video. I did see the semi-final round 1 videos are getting uploaded. So hopefully in the next 3 to 4 weeks it'll be there, and I'll make sure to send the link with Lisa. So hopefully that can be distributed as well. Yeah.
Perfect. That would be awesome. I have had a few people asking about that. Faye, you've got a question.
Hi, kia ora, Fazla.
Yeah.
So I listened through your sharing and then realized you're moving through different, from your club to area to division to district and then to the world stage. You're moving through different group of audience. So my question was, how did you adapt your speech to connect with different group of audience? Because it's gonna be quite different.
Yep. A very good question again, Faye. Yep, that's like, I think when you start at your club level, as I mentioned earlier, the idea or the speech you have is very raw. So you're just presenting it for the first time to see the audience reaction. And when you see, I think for me, what worked well is when I was delivering it, I was looking for those reactions from the audience. And you can kind of make a note like which landed very well and which didn't. So when you move to the division, you make sure you take the ones really worked well. And you can incorporate lots of humor. If you want to change it a bit more, feel free to do so. And then I did for the division. And from the division, when I was going to district, again, it's the feedback as well, because from the club, you just get like a collective feedback from people who you know or you see like on a week to week basis. But when you go to the area and division, it is a bit different because you get feedback from a wider community. What I did is there are plenty of Toastmasters in my area who are very supportive. You don't even need to ask for help, but they are ready to give their feedback and just to let us know, oh, this might work, you can try this might be different. And another thing is you can observe, like when others are delivering their speeches, maybe just sit at the back and see what works well, what didn't. So you can try to incorporate them in your speeches that works well for you. You don't need to change yourself to do that, but you can make tweaks into your speech that will land when you go to the next level. So ask for feedback from the wider community in your area, take on that to the division. From division, after the contest, talk to people, see how they liked it or how they didn't. See what worked well for another member, another contestant, and what didn't. So those are like the key things you can take on as you move along the steps. And I think that's something that worked really well for me. So when you are trying to change your speech to fit into a different set of a group, that's something you can really do. And I didn't need to worry about it a lot until quarterfinals. But when I was going to the world stage, I needed to make sure like some pronunciations and some deliveries kind of match the American style so that it lands well for that audience. So it's a good thing to know your audience. And I think there's certain things you can have in your speech which can work for a wider range of audience anyways. So try and look in for those things. So you don't need to really tweak your speech a lot as you move along. And yeah, I think those are the things that worked well for me. Bye.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you,
No
Fazla,
worries.
and for Faye for that question. I thought of another question that you might like to speak about is some people might not be aware that you have to have 2 speeches ready
Yeah.
just in case. And how did you decide what
Yeah.
speech you should do?
Yep, that was like a last moment prep, because I think July 1st I got to know that I'm going to the semis, and then when I was like reading through it, they said you can't, if you get through the semis, you can't have the same speech for the World Championship. So I had to come up with another speech in the last minute. So so as I mentioned earlier, throughout my journey, something I'm really kind of cling on to is being the true authentic self. So what I thought about speaking is about myself, like how I struggle to find myself, like coming to a different country, or like an identity crisis I had. So that's something I wanted to talk about. And that's something I was like trying to put into a speech. And when I had the speech ready, I think I was like, I had the raw idea within few days, and I started presenting it at my club, and I visited like, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 clubs in the area to present that and to get feedback and to like kind of polish it. So yeah, I think when you are thinking about a speech, it doesn't need to be big, like fancy. You can talk about very simple things, maybe like a walk you went the other day, if that's something you are passionate about, like walking and hiking, you can still come up with a speech. So talk about something you're very passionate about, and the rest kind of just flows. So I think that's like a key thing I think about when I'm like developing speeches. Yep.
Thank you, Fazla. That's a good answer for that question. And another
No.
question, what did you think of the finalists? Sitting there back and watching the finalists, what did you think of their speeches?
To be honest, I was very sad after the semis. I couldn't pull myself together. Marie knows, Harry knows. I think even Lisa, Kaylin, who were there, saw me like struggling to pull myself together. So it was a bit hard because I put myself like I did lots of work behind the scenes. So, but what I wanted to know is, okay, so what is gonna work for others, what I can learn from them. So I just went there and I started kind of like judging them according to the judges' criteria and watching them like what went well, what could have improved. And like watching them, another thing that kind of like reinforced my idea is it doesn't need to be perfect again, because if you can go and watch the world champion or the second place getter, you will see like thinking about the judges' criteria, you don't need to really worry about it. It's that moment, being your true authentic self and making that connection is what makes the difference. So I think that idea I had in mind kind of get reinforced after watching the World Championship. So it always wins. Just being ourselves and trying to make that connection is what is really important, I think.
Thank you, Fazla. That's a very good answer, and I would agree. They were all themselves, and just that's what really came across. The ones that went further and got those places, and that. Does anybody have any other questions for Fazla? Oh, Faith got another one.
Thank you, thank you. So Fazla, because everybody's asking your prep stage and then like how you going through. Now, my question is, after you gone through the semifinal, how has that experience influenced you, the way that you approach your regular Toastmaster meeting? Because we're not having contests every day, but how you can, how does the growth from the contest to show up when you come back to your regular Toastmaster meeting?
Yeah, I love your questions, Faye, thinking outside the box. Yes, I think it really had an impact. What I would say is it made me more confident, because I think talking to a larger crowd, as I said, like I was at a stage which is bigger than any stage I have been on. So I think trying to tackle that audience, trying to talk to them, kind of made me, I think, like spontaneous. It kind of like improved my impromptu skills a bit. And I was also attending some workshops as well about those distinguished clubs and things like that. So I'm trying to kind of like, I attended those, made some notes, and I brought everything along with me. So I'm the current president of Hutt Valley Toastmasters. So we are, as a team with Vice President of Education, we are trying to make some slight changes into our day-to-day meetings to make it more interactive and fun, so that all can kind of like get incorporated. And I also did like sharing my journey with the clubs in the area. I did it at my club and some few other clubs as well. One, unfortunately I couldn't because I got sick. I got a very bad food poisoning, but I'm over it now. So I think, yeah, like trying to be on that world stage and talking to a wider crowd made me like more confident, and trying to think spontaneously. And yeah, and taking those all together with me and trying to incorporate that in the club and trying to help people, because as I mentioned earlier, I have been helped and I'm trying to pass it forward. So I'm keen to like do that in our club, starting from the club. Hopefully we can make it to the area and all around in New Zealand, so someone else can benefit as well.
Oh, Fazla, you're so lovely, isn't she?
Thanks,
Isn't she
Lisa.
lovely? So lovely and humble. Does anybody have any other questions? Oh, Fernando has another one.
Yep. So I would like
Thanks,
to know one
Fernando.
thing. I'm curious about one thing.
Sure.
I mean, obviously you've been talking about how to connect with the audience and people and everything, but is there any, let's say, a skill or something that you were fearful, something that you probably were worried about? Oh, I'm not going to be good at this particular item when it comes to score my speech. Is there anything that you, and how do you solve it? I mean, what kind of strategies did you implement to go over it?
Yep, another good question. Yeah, I do see like people, like few other contestants who can do things differently, which works really well for them. But when I try it, I think it's a failure. So it's something like the vocal variety, because, or the tone of how I speak. Because for some people, they can make it more dramatic. But in my case, it's a bit tricky because the tone or the pace I have is a bit different to a dramatic delivery. So I tried, it didn't work, but it doesn't mean I need to have it to win it. So it's not about the dramatic delivery all the time. You can, I think, when we are looking about other contestants and when we think about what they do well, what really lands, we can try them and see whether that works for us. If it works, great. Get that on board and keep going. If not, maybe you can try and alter it in a way that fits yourself. Like for me, the vocal variety, when you are talking about like dialogues and things like that, maybe you can pause, show the difference, or do it in a different tone. But the key thing is that should be something that works for you. If it doesn't, it's gonna land well. It doesn't going to make that connection. So I think for me, that's something I kept in my mind. I tried different things that I cannot do, of course, but if it doesn't work for me, I'm not going to take that on board.
Okay, thank you.
No
Thank you,
worries, Fernando.
Fazla. That's a great lesson to learn, isn't it? Like, yeah, what works for you works for you, and trying what works for somebody else doesn't always turn out the same. Yeah.
Yes.
Kayleen has a question next.
Not so much a question, Fazla, but more of for some comments. And just listening to you tonight, I feel like there's another story behind the story here. And we often talk about authenticity and being authentic, but I feel like this was a journey for you to be authentic. And I think that's a really good thing for all of us to learn. Some of the feedback that you've given, some tools where we can help find our own authenticity. and I can see that the whole way. I had the pleasure of seeing Fazla do her speech in the semi-finals, and my goodness, she so deserved to be on that stage, and she really walked the talk that she has been talking tonight. So I just want to say congratulations, Fazla, and I agree with Wayne. So proud of you.
Thanks heaps for support and cheering me from the room. We are really appreciated, Kayleen.
Thank you, Kayleen. And Inga, you've got a question as well.
Oh, hello. Thank you. And congratulations, Fazla. Well done.
Thanks, Inga.
I was just interested when you were just talking about the ideas that you'd brought back for clubs, for improving club quality. Could you share some of those, the things that you think that the ideas that you got that might make club night more fun and more engaging, that kind of thing? Yeah, thanks.
Sure, Inga. Yeah, I think something I really, I think I attended this workshop about making a club distinguished and about like club growth and things like that. Because initially we had like 10, 12 members during a phase, but now currently we have like quite a bit of a number there, like 25, 26 members. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to make it fun for everyone. So our meetings are pretty much fun anyways, but to make it like more like, I don't know, to make it fun in a way, it's not so, can I say, not so mechanical, as we are trying to like introduce just few small thimble-sized trophies to acknowledge what went well. I think most of the clubs they do it, but I think Hutt Valley we don't. So we are going to think about, but not kind of refining it as the best table topics of the day or like the best speech of the day, because we do see, especially when you have freshers coming into a club, there might be some people who are getting that trophy all the time. So instead, I think what we observed in another club like Phoenix, they do it in a way where they ask the general evaluator to pick 3 like things that went well in that meeting. So that can be something, the most humorous person, the best language used, or I don't know, like something like on the spot ideas, something that really went on that day. So it kind of like acknowledges different people in the club and what went really well. So it's fun for the members. And also the impromptu special sessions when it comes to table topics, you can make it fun, like different themes to table topics and making sure they are kind of like short, not like paragraphs, so that the person can grab the topic and do it in a proper way. And we started like introducing a freshers pack when they come into the club, like the roles we do at the club and the club Toastmasters guidebook. And along with that, I think we are making like a easy speak access and Toastmasters International website guidelines as well. So we can give it to the freshers, because we do try and do education sessions about like pathways and easy speaks. But all the time when there's like new members, we have to kind of like repeat it, and it can be boring to some people. So having those handouts can be really helpful. So if the new member is struggling, we can always do like a face-to-face or one-on session to kind of make sure everything is in line. So those are like the key things we are currently working on to kind of like get things in line and to make it more fun every evening when we meet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No worries.
Some great ideas in there, Fazla. Your club is lucky to have you as president, bringing on
Oh, thanks, Lisa.
those changes. And thank you for answering all the questions. Does anybody have anything else? No? Oh, Fernando's got another one.
Yeah, sorry for stealing another minute from your time, but not every day
okay.
you have the opportunity to talk to someone that has the achievement. So I'm going to tell you what I've been working on over the last years. It's been a really very struggle for me. It's been a big struggle for me. And so first of all, I have one of my closest friends. Actually, it was my best man, my wedding last year, comes from Colombo. It's from Sri Lanka. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I know that Sinhalese pretty much is a language. It's a syllable time language. It's same as Spanish. You give the same importance to syllables. While English is a stress time language. So you need to keep like a rhythm when you speak. So I understand very well. I didn't see your speech, but I've worked on my breathing for years and years. And for me, it was the biggest challenge. Now, what I found, especially years ago, when my English was not, let's say, as good as it's now, is that sometimes people felt a little bit uncomfortable with my pace because it sounds a little bit robotic and things like that. Being aware of that helped me a lot. And my question for you is, well, obviously you've overcome that situation because you've got this bit, but do you think that that particular difference in terms of language could play an important role when it comes to win a context? Because it's a big thing. I mean, when you speak in a language, you're different. It's not just about the accent. It's about the pace, the rhythm. I'm asking this because you talked about vocal variety, right? We all understand about vocal variety. We all understand all those concepts. But in my case, it's difficult to come up with a really good or suitable vocal variety when your language is completely different in terms of rhythm and pace from for example, English. So, I mean, I can perfectly see that you have a syllable time language. You're doing great, and I'm working on it as well. Actually, my wife is from the UK. That helped me a lot in the last 3 years. It's been a big change in my speaking. But this is my question for you. Do you think that it could play an important role when you go internationally, because everybody speaks English, which is a stress time language? What are your thoughts about this? Sorry for the question.
No, that's a good question, Fernando. I think, yeah, when I came to like New Zealand, I struggled. I didn't know what is Chiliban is. I didn't understand yeah, nah, yeah. I was super confused when I came in. But I think one thing we all need to think about is when we are speaking, does it matter like the tone or the vocal? Of course, when I was back in Sri Lanka, I spoke two different languages, but not English. And my degree is from UK, so I was studying under UK professor, so that's completely different English. So when I came here, something I tried is because I work at the hospital setting and I see patients every day. So the key thing is to talk in a way that is clear to the next person. So that's where the communication starts. So when you speak, it's like a give and take. You're sharing information. So trying to make it clear is what really helped me to initiate that conversation and to communicate with each other. So I think it's okay to have a different tone, different pace. Go and watch the World Championship, the second place getter. They all had their different pace and tone. It's okay. That's your authentic, true self. But for me, in my case, since I wanted to like communicate well with my patients and to like initiate a conversation, I always try to make it clear. And I think that helped me because even now I have a different accent to what the accent used in New Zealand. But the key thing is try to work on being clear. I did work on being clear whenever I spoke to another person, and that really helps. But also keep, if you have that like original tone where you come from, keep that. That really helps. Keep that, but make sure you are clear to the other person so that you can initiate the conversation and communicate. So you will have both the authenticity and also the connection with the audience. So good luck working on that, Fernando, and hopefully one day we'll see you on that stage.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I will keep my Spanish accent. as much as I
Yes.
can. All right. I don't know. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Fazla. That's such an important
Mhm.
question, actually, because us New Zealanders probably don't even think about it. But our clubs have got members from all different nationalities and cultures, and yeah, and the international speech contest is in English, and so having that clarity is a very good point.
Mhm. Yep.
Does anybody else have anything for Fazla? No?
No.
Maybe not. That's all good. But thank you so much, Fazla, from all of
My
us to you,
pleasure.
because giving your time has been so precious, and we're
No
very
worries.
grateful for you sharing your story and all of the answering all the questions everybody's had. And I'm sure everyone's got some takeaway notes from listening to you. And I have had some requests coming on my phone saying, hey, when can I next talk to Fazla about something? So there is definitely room for more
Mhm.
knowledge to be shared in this
Yeah.
zone. So
I'm
thank you so
glad
much.
I'm glad for this opportunity, and I really hope everyone has a takeaway today. And thanks again for joining me tonight. And yeah, I look forward to help you in any way I can. Yeah, you just need to click me an email. I'm there. Thank you.
Well, I will.
Sure, Fernando.
You do. Okay.
Thank
All right.
you,
Thank you very
everybody.
much.
No worries.
Thanks so
Have
much
a
for
nice
joining us.
weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Fazla. Bye.
No
Thank
worries. Bye.
you.